Ian, the Off-Kilter Crafter.
And I'm so Becca.
And I'm Chris with Rose City Originals. And spoiler alert, I'm a bit chaotic.
You'll fit in quite well here today,
well.
Chris.
Very, very well. Thank you, Chris, for joining us today. You're our second official guest. Well, technically third. Technically third. Because Mary was our first. We went back and looked at the board and realized that Mary was our first one. We should have known that.
Well, we did that when we were talking about how Rachel was our first, and she was like, "No, it was me." So
yeah,
I'm your second virtual guest.
There you
yes,
go.
That's
there
it.
You go. There you go.
That's
there
it. Yes, excellent. We're so happy to have you here and joining us today. And we don't really have an agenda today so much, but we're very glad that you're here, and we're going to be talking about whatever we end up talking about.
Whatever happens, happens. That's how I quilt.
Yeah, well, that's how I quilt too. Whatever I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, and go away if you're a quilt police. So why don't we introduce Chris and let our audience know a little bit about who he is, where they can find him, and then we'll just kind of help them get to know him a little bit.
Yeah, sounds good.
So take it away, Christopher. Who are you? Where can they find you?
So I'm Chris Marchini. It is pronounced Marchini, just in case you were wondering. I am online as Rose City Originals. I am based out of Portland, Oregon, which is the city of roses. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I post lots of short videos about pretty much whatever I'm doing that day. Lots of quilty content, some general sewing. And yesterday you got to see me build some shelves, so it's a little chaotic.
I saw that. I was like, oh man, I feel so much better about the content that I make because first of all, being a content creator is hard sometimes because I never, I'll put something together and work on something and been like, I should have recorded that. Happens to me a lot.
Everything is content.
Everything is content. Everything is content. Everything is, and then you forget to record steps 1 through 10.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
I'll do that, and then I'll be like, so I forgot to record it, but here's my finished result. Enjoy.
I've
Quick
done
reel
that.
Right there. Yeah.
Or I've recorded it and not had the microphone on. Done that. Made it all the way through entire videos.
Yes, I have had some microphone woes through the years, so
Isn't it great?
Can relate. Yeah.
Isn't it great when you're just like...
talk about our quilt stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We will.
Listen, he knows more about this than
I
we
know.
do.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
God.
I was just listening to last week's episode.
Okay.
Today.
All right.
Excellent.
Well, okay. Before we do the quilt talk, I have a confession to make in that I am literally 5 minutes in the area. Like I just got off the train. I didn't even go home. I just came right here. Here I am. And I ate some of your food. So
You did.
FYI.
You did. That's fine.
So I come and I sit down, happen to have a quilt with me because I knew we were going to record tonight. But I told Ian, I was like, I don't even think we should do the quilt thing because we have a guest and we should just focus on the guest and just talk to him. And then that way it's not awkward with us talking about a quilt and then Chris not having one. And so we sit down and what do? Pull up a quilt. So let's start with you.
Talking about quilts, I made sure to grab one.
There you go. So
to choose from.
we need to know about your quilt first. I feel like you get to start us off.
Absolutely.
So I'll send a picture so you can post it, but this is my quilt. It is the Winding Ways pattern, and what did I call this? Hold on, the tag. Winding Clover, because it's all green. This was 100% made out of my scrap bin. So the front, the back, and the binding, or not the binding, well, yes, the binding, the batting was all scraps.
Oh,
and
okay.
I love it. It's one of my most recent it's one of the most recent finishes I can show that's not still under wraps. I finished this in March.
You mean there's some that you're still hiding at the moment?
Always.
Yes. Yeah. Which is weird to me. When I first started doing content creation, it was like I would film today, post tomorrow, whatever it was. But now I'm working with brands. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to launch until, September or whatever the date may be. So I can't show it. And that's really weird.
It is.
Yep.
It is. There are definitely things that happen. The cruise, for instance, we couldn't talk about the cruise for a little bit. And then we had to keep that under wraps, which was really hard to do. Really hard.
He
Yes.
might also be talking about trying to censor me every time words came out of my mouth.
I mean, there were a few times that it almost came flying out. But anyways,
If I could have a nickel for the number of times that I saw panic set across your face when I started talking. Anyway, that's besides the point.
well, and we saw how Mary had to keep you quiet. So,
Bind a gag.
all right, your turn. Let's talk about your
Oh,
quilt.
okay. So this is using the pattern chandelier quilt from Lella Boutique, which I don't know how they did this, but Missouri Star collabed with her a couple years ago. They did a tutorial and the pattern became free. It used to be a pattern that you have to purchase, but now you can download it for free. This has been a pattern that I've always wanted to do. And so when we went to Lake Gaston, I tackled it. I pieced it all while I was there, and I even bought the fabric. So all of the fabric that I got for this, I bought it from Sherry's So What, which was right out by the retreat center that we rented. So I love it.
Turned out really well.
It did. And I quilted it.
You
and I
did?
pieced it. And what did I quilt it with? I can't remember. I don't know.
I don't
Some
know.
sort of design. You'll see it in the picture.
It'll be, it's beautiful. Remember, if you're listening on the podcast apps, come over to YouTube, at least to see our quilts, because it's awesome. And of course, see our guest, because he's awesome. And then this is the Puzzle Mystery Quilt Are You Game? I don't even remember
Oh,
how long. I
wow.
know, it's been a hot minute since this one's been out. But
You don't
this
remember
is,
when you made it? Did you label it?
did I label this
Oh.
one? I think I did. Maybe I did. Wait, hold on.
Oh,
It might be there
I don't
somewhere.
think you did.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sure
Wait,
you
wait,
did
one more
more
time.
labeling, and I know you label your quilts because you do the same corner labels I do.
I
Yep.
do. I
He
do.
stole them from you.
I did. I did steal the idea from
I'm
you
sure
and
I
started.
stole them from someone else, but
Yeah, this one doesn't have a label on it because this was very early in my quilting journey, and so I was like, label fine, whatever.
Is that Allison Glass?
It is Allison Glass.
You know what's hilarious? Is that the small?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I did the small Are You game as a content creator. This is before we knew each other.
Mhm.
And it was homemade.
It sure was.
I have that quilt upstairs. Yeah, still have it.
Yeah.
Dog tried to eat it. It's fine.
oh no,
Oh no. Is that the one that you tried to fix? No, the dog's eaten several quilts.
He
Anyways,
doesn't eat
doesn't
that
matter.
anymore.
Hi, Chris. How are you? Coming back to you. This is going to be one of the most chaotic episodes ever.
But I think
warned
that's
you.
what people are here for. I think that's what people are here for.
It is. It is.
I want to talk a little bit about Chris. So I found him on Instagram when you were doing your community quilt. I thought it was really cool. You were throwing the dye and catching it in this little container, and then you were picking out the envelopes with the fabrics on it and making the blocks. Yes, that's it. That's the thing. And so I remember seeing those reels pop up, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And the first time, that was like 2022, I think, something like that.
23 is when I started.
Then it was
Okay.
23. It was 23 because it was around, yeah, that had to have been right because 23 was when QuiltCon was in Atlanta, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Yes,
Whatever.
yes, that was my very
You
first
either
QuiltCon.
started it right. You either started it before I saw you in QuiltCon or you started it right after and I had already been following you. But I remember meeting you at QuiltCon in Atlanta and I like walked up to you and I didn't know that stickers were a thing. I did not know. And you like shook my hand and you were kind of looking at me like waiting for me to say something. And I had no idea what to say. And you gave me a sticker. I was like, oh, I have a sticker. I just remember that interaction.
So QuiltCon 2023 Atlanta, that was my first time like going to a show after becoming
Oh.
kind of becoming a content creator. Accuquilt brought me out there as an ambassador. I was a new Accuquilt ambassador. And so having people recognize me, I was kind of like, what? This is weird.
That's awesome.
I don't know if stickers were a thing prior to that. I like to think
Listen.
that I started the sticker trend, but
You started
I
the
don't know,
You
sticker
started
trend.
it.
It's fine.
We're settling it right now. That's what happened.
I love stickers. Like I just love stickers in general.
Yeah.
So I used to have a different thing that I did, a different company, and I would do stickers to like send off with orders. So I just continued that coming into quilting, and I like ordered stickers. Like, how fun would it be to hand out stickers? So I handed out stickers, and
It
now
was so
everyone hands
cool.
out stickers.
Yep. I
Yep.
remember when I came back from QuiltCon from Atlanta, I didn't have a ton of stickers.
Mm.
Well, spoiler alert. I don't know why I say that. I did have a lot of stickers, but I spent $4 on every single sticker because I was buying them. But Chris's was free. And I
Mhm.
actually put Chris's, if you look at my Martelli table that I
Mhm.
gave to you, his sticker, that silver one, is
Oh,
on
yeah.
the, yep.
Yep,
Yep.
I do remember. Yep, it's on the side. Unfortunately, it's facing the wall at the moment
That's
because
okay.
that side
That's okay.
faces the
That's
wall.
okay.
But it's fine.
Oh.
And I
So-
got stickers from him at QuiltCon this past year. Some
Mhm.
really super cute animated.
Yeah. We're all jealous of that.
I know
sticker.
it's super
Wow.
cute.
Yeah,
little emoji.
Accuquilt made that sticker of me, and I
Mhm.
think it's adorable.
And
I
they
didn't
did
know
a
they were
great
doing
job.
that until it showed up.
I think next year your sticker needs to be the merman that you did of yourself. Like you needed to that
I
quilt
should make
needs to
that
be a sticker. Yes.
I want to be where the people aren't.
Yes! Oh my gosh, I love that.
I'm down for it.
Yeah,
I'm
for
down
sure.
for it.
I have
So
another
for the-
sticker idea that's like, I have so many sticker ideas, so I just need to design them and get them printed.
Trust me, I understand. I'm going through that process right now, and I'm like so excited to put the stickers out. But yeah,
Mhm.
more to come.
I think that's the fun thing about QuiltCon. So for those of you that haven't been to QuiltCon, as we've mentioned before, stickers
Mhm.
are the currency of QuiltCon,
They
right?
really are.
Everybody brings stickers to trade. That's kind of like the swap that you do. Content creators bring them to hand out, and then folks that aren't content creators are still handing them out.
Mhm.
And I will give Chris credit for that because I don't remember it being a thing in Atlanta. It didn't seem like a thing. Maybe it was, but I'm just going to give credit to Chris.
I know it wasn't a thing in 2020 when I first attended because, like, or at least I never got any stickers from anybody. Granted, I didn't know a whole lot of people. I only knew my guild, so I really wasn't interacting with anybody outside of my guild. But in 2020, it wasn't a thing. So I feel like that is a much more recent kind of evolution thing.
And it gets bigger and bigger every year. Like, I came home with like I don't even have places to put all the stickers. I'm actually thinking I have this door that goes outside that I never use, and I want to start covering it with stickers. So it'll be
There
in
you
all my
go.
videos, and just like, I'm just gonna plaster stickers there.
Yep. And then every year you can just start layering over top of them,
Yeah.
right? Yep.
Yep.
I bought a sticker album from one of the booths at QuiltCon. I got a couple of them. And so everybody's stickers this year actually went in that. And I appreciate the pages because they're kind of a little bit like freezer paper. So you can put the sticker on there, but then still peel it off and use it later.
I've
So
seen
I just
those.
put everybody's stickers in the book and I was like, okay, this
Yeah.
is where they'll live.
Definitely. It's
Yeah.
a nice book, too.
Yeah.
You bought me one.
I know. And I bought one for
appreciate it.
Mary too. Actually, I bought her too.
Sure did. Sure
So-
did. So where did the dice come from? Are you a big D&D player? Is that kind of how it started, or like what
No,
happened?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Which surprises a lot of people. I appreciate the game. I don't have time to play the game. So I've never actually like played a full campaign or anything. But so my inspiration for the role for Quilt was a content creator on TikTok, Bluegill Studio or Bluegill Ceramics. I don't remember which it is. But she did randomly generated mugs. So she's a
Oh.
potter. She would make a mug, and then she would roll the dice for the different underglaze decals she would do on it for like different themes, colors,
Oh.
all of that. And they were some really cool mugs. I'm like, that's a really fun idea. So after I started working with Accuquilt, I had, a few dies, and each die comes with like a little pattern card on it. And so I had 12, I want to say. It may have been 10. I think it was 12. And I spiral bound them, and I just started rolling like, okay, this is the pattern I'm going to make. At that time, I was doing it out of my scrap bin. So then I would roll again to pick each color. Like, so if it was pink, everything that was pink on the pattern card, I would roll and say that's going to be orange. And so like I would just go down each color and recolor it with the dice. And that project is what got me to be an ambassador for Accuquilt, because it was
Oh.
super popular. I
Yeah.
gained tons of followers. That's what grew my Instagram the most.
Okay.
And then that was 64 blocks. It was 8-inch blocks, 8 across, 8 down. And when that was done, like people were like excited to see it done, but then sad it was done. So I did another one. It was different blocks. They were bigger blocks. So it was only 16 blocks. It was much faster. And again, people were like excited to see it all done, but then sad it was done. And lots of people were like, I want to, sew along. I want to play along with you. And I had this idea, like to go get a PO box and ask people to send me fabric. And I'm like, that's stupid. Like random strangers on the internet aren't just going to mail me all their fabric.
Little did you know.
Right? Someone on Instagram messaged me and said, hey, like you should do this, and basically said what I was already thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, if someone took the time to send me a message with this suggestion, maybe there's something behind this. So I made a video just kind of saying what my idea was, and it like blew up. Everyone's like, oh my God, yes, what's the address? Where can I send it? So I went and got a PO box, which is more expensive than I thought it would be. But
Yes.
And so I put it out there. I started getting mail, and it was super fun. So 2023, it was all, mailed into me. And that's what was the first community quilt. And then it was a big project. Like it was a lot of work to keep track of everything, because I like to do stats at the end, like where all the mail came from, how many envelopes I got, how many blocks there were, most rolled block, all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to do this again. Like that was a lot of work. So people were bugging me, like, are you going to do it again in 2024? It's like, I don't know. And so I don't want to say I got bullied into it, but I kind of did. So I did it again in 2024. And by the end of 2024, I had already decided I was going to do it in 2025.
Love it.
Because while it's a big, massive project, it's a ton of fun. I do get lots of engagement on social media for it, but I find it's a lot more interactive engagement. Like I can actually have conversations with people about it. Like people are very positive about it. We use it as a fundraiser for the Trevor Project, and last year we raised $11,400.
Wow.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Way to go.
Cause, and it's a lot of fun, and I see followers interacting with each other over it. So it really is building community. So I had decided I'm going to do it for 2025, but this year I wrote my own pattern book for it.
Good.
So you can follow along with me, because people kept asking where I got my patterns, and it was just like free printouts from the Accuquilt website that I compiled myself. So now you can get a pattern book and follow along with me. And there's also rotary cutting instructions for those who don't have an Accuquilt.
Oh,
so
nice.
that would hinder people from following along with me.
Sweet.
So if people want to pick up that book, that pattern, where can they find it?
So it's rosecityoriginals.com. If you scroll down just a little ways, you'll see this logo, and it'll take you to all the information about the community quilt, and then it'll have links on that page to the pattern and all that. It is also available as a PDF for international folks, because shipping can be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I made a PDF also.
That's awesome.
Which I found out recently that it is cheaper for people to send mail to America than it is for America to send mail out to other countries. Go figure that one.
It's crazy. So it's more expensive for me to mail something to Canada than it is to England.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and you live in Oregon.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And it costs me X dollars to send it to Vancouver, BC. Like I can drive it there. But then like half the cost, I can send it across the ocean. I don't get it.
I don't understand. I don't get it.
I don't think it's meant for us to figure out.
That's true.
I think it's just meant to make us ask questions.
It is what it is.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
So I love the community quilt. I think that's a lot of fun. I love that every year it's evolving a little bit more to be a bigger community project, right? It started off with you just working on your own, and then people were bringing fabric, and then they wanted to sew along with you, and now they have a pattern where they can actually do the same thing. And I find, at least with my community, and I'm sure yours and definitely yours, anytime you give people a project that they can do for minimal cost from their own stash or their own scraps, it's gonna blow up, right? Like, because that's what we all want to do. We all want to be able to sew something. And if you can empower somebody to use their own supplies without having to buy another big kit or another big project, no brainer.
I mean, I have this gigantic pile. Becca can see it. It's off camera, but there's a gigantic pile about waist high of boxes full of stash fabric or scrap fabric that I probably need to do something with.
I think you need to do a community quilt.
Oh,
jump on the board. Go get the pattern.
What do you consider a scrap? Like, when does fabric become a scrap for you?
Oh, good question. Because I have a little bit of everything. I think the smallest I have is like 2.5-inch strips, like leftover binding strips. So
what's the biggest you have?
Right. Yeah.
On my shelves in the
no in those boxes. What's the biggest piece of scrap?
I think the biggest I have is like maybe a half yard. I think I have a half yard in there.
So for me, scrap is anything smaller than a fat quarter.
Yes.
If I have a fat quarter, I can fold it and put it with my fat quarters.
That's right.
And I won't save anything less than a 2.5-inch square, because even if it's pretty fabric, I'll never use it because I'll forget it exists.
That's true.
That
is true.
Yeah.
I don't keep my scraps most of the time. I don't. I stack them up. I accumulate them, and then when the project is done, then I determine whether or not I want to process those scraps down and put them into a project almost immediately, or if I want to pay it forward. And 99% of the time, the scraps that I produce, once the project is done, I fold them up nicely, I put them in a padded envelope, and I either sell it for like $25 or whatever, or I just give it away. And I cannot believe how many people out there go bananas over getting those padded envelopes full of scraps. They're like, yes, I'll take it. And I like, it makes me feel good because I'm not throwing it out. Right. But it also makes me feel good because somebody else is getting to use that, and that's making their day.
Yep. I think that's my goal for this summer is I'm going to work through my scrap pile, and I want it all processed by the end of summer to get it all done. And it's something that I can do a little bit at a time and work through it. And like, I don't want to say get bored with the project, but I can work on it for a little bit and be like, okay, I'm ready to move to something else.
So how do you process your scraps, Chris? What's your process? Well, put it into a quilt. Okay. That's the end result. Talk to us about how you got there.
So I have 9 bins. They're colored. So red and pink are one bin because I use very little red in my quilts, and apparently a ton of pink. So they share a bin, and so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then it gets mucky from there. It's supposed to be like black and gray, white, beige, tan, low volume, but then I end up with these prints that are like all rainbow colors. Like it's got everything, it's evenly distributed, or it's like a black background with bright colors, and I'm like, so the bottom row of my bins is a disaster. It's just, whatever I felt like that day, throw it in there. And then for making the quilts, I will just pick a color. I've done pink. I did a log cabin, like with just all random scrappy pinks. This was the greens. And I'm just going to go through one by one and make quilts, but already my pink is overflowing again, like to where it's like busting out of its spot. So...
Well, I guess that answers, what's your favorite color to work with?
Apparently pink.
Apparently. You know what's funny is how you realize or learn about your preference after you start quilting. Like, would you have ever thought that you liked pink that much?
No, like honestly, like people ask me my favorite color and I'm usually like yellow. My yellow bin is the least amount of scraps in it.
Or it's because he's using all those yellows and not making much scraps out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to tell people I hated orange. I hated orange. Oh, what the heck? The TV just went off.
Hey everybody, it's Ian from the editing room. If you're listening on the podcasting apps, there's kind of a problem that just happened. The TV that Becca and I use to monitor video and see Chris in this interview suddenly turned off. Don't know why, it just happened. But had to fix that so that way we could see Chris again and continue the interview. So we took a brief pause as the TV was turned back on, and guess what? It does it several more times during the interview, so if you hear a random pause, that's what happened. Okay, back to the interview.
The
Technology.
TV had a mind of its own and shut off. So.
Yeah, the technology's great until it doesn't work. Right.
So we were talking about favorite color.
Yeah.
And Chris had mentioned about how if people asked him what his favorite color was, he would say yellow, but apparently it's pink. And
Yeah.
so I started talking about how I thought like people would ask me what my least favorite color was, and I would tell them orange. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want orange. No orange. Because I don't like fall colors. I like bright colors. And so I would say orange. And then I organized my sewing room. And do you know how much coral I had? And where does coral fall?
It's an orange. Yeah.
It's orange.
Yep.
So I guess coral is my favorite.
It's one of your favorites for sure, although
Aqua and coral.
yeah, aqua. Which
yeah.
that would make a good combination, actually, now that I'm thinking about that. But that's
Get out of my head.
I mean,
The
Can't help it.
aqua teal range,
Uh-huh.
I always struggle with if it goes in the green bin or the blue bin.
yes.
And I have a trick for that too.
What's your trick?
And it involves my husband.
Ah!
Oh,
So if I can't decide what bin it goes in, because like our living room is right on the other side of this wall, I'll just peek out and he's usually like on his computer watching TV, whatever. I will hold it up like real quick, like, what color is this?
oh.
Real quick flash it at him. And whatever color he says is the color
Is where
bin
it goes.
in.
Okay.
That's awesome.
All right. Good tip. Flash your husband if you need to know what color it is.
There's a good reel for you right there.
Done. I can do more than flash.
No. No, that's a
And I
good
was
tip.
chaotic. I warned you.
Totally. But no, that's a good tip to be honestly, like, because I had that problem when I was working on Showering Stars. My Showering Stars used my scraps, and I was trying to break it out into color families. So reds and pinks, blues and aquas and greens and stuff like that. And there were a couple of points when I'm like, well, this could really go over here, but it could also go here. And so I had that difficulty of being like, which one is it and where does it fall in? So that's a good tip to be like, hey, what color is this? And they'd be like, I don't know.
We tend to overthink things. I
That's
know as
true.
quilters, we overthink things. So it's that really quick split second reaction. What color did you think it was? That's what we're going to call it.
Yep.
I like that. That's
Yep.
great.
Definitely.
I'm not going to sort them by color. I'm still just going to shove them in an envelope.
That's even easier.
Yep.
Let the recipient figure it out.
Exactly.
So you were talking earlier about your community quilt, and that's how Accuquilt found you. You're a brand ambassador for Accuquilt. You have been for at least the couple of years that I've been following you. Ever since I've known you've been associated with Accuquilt.
Yeah, December 2022. They sent me
That would
my
be right.
first cutter and the Hattie's Choice die in, I think, August of 2022.
Awesome.
And that's kind of what's spearheaded the whole relationship.
There you
Now
go.
we're like one and the same.
Well, I was excited to see at QuiltCon this year, you had a special die that you revealed, like it launched. So you want to tell us a little bit about that die?
I currently have 2 dies with Accuquilt, actually.
Okay.
So we have my quilted
Sorry.
trucker hat. No, it's okay. So the quilted trucker hat came out last October.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
For QuiltCon this year, the launch was for the bow tie, which I should be wearing, but
It's okay.
It's fine.
so we launched that. It was like the week before QuiltCon is when it officially launched, and then QuiltCon was the big drive for it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do a lot with Accuquilt. Like, I'm an ambassador. They call it go-getters. I'm also a go guru, so I'm an educator. I am a pattern designer, a licensed die designer. I co-host Accuquilt Live on Wednesdays. And I thought that was another thing. And I
That's a
stopped.
lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot already. Wow. I didn't realize that you were licensed with them and a licensed die designer.
Yeah, so they
Oh, wow.
licensed my trucker hat and my bow tie Like it's mine and my name's on the packaging and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm working on some other stuff that may be coming out soon. Hopefully, we'll see.
So what is that like to design a die? What does that process look like?
So it's probably a little different for me than for some of the other licensed designers, because like for the trucker hat, I already had everything done because I launched it as like a paper pattern you can buy from me. And so I already had it all digitized, like all the pattern shapes, because you can buy a printed copy and it's got this big piece of paper that has all the shapes on it that you cut out. So I already had that in like a vector CAD file.
Mm.
So I just sent that to them. They rearranged it to fit it on their 10 by 24 inch die board, and it was a piece of cake.
That's so cool.
I already had all the instructions written out because I had the instructions for assembling the hat, traditional style.
Yeah.
So that one was super easy. Same with the bow tie. The bow tie I don't have as a paper pattern. It started specifically to be a die because I don't think I have it here. Around like the curves, you have to snip so you get a nice smooth curve.
Mhm.
And as I was making the bow tie, I'm like, this is stupid. I'm sitting here for like half an hour just snipping little snips all the way around. Like this should be a die where it already cuts it out, which it does. So the die, if you see it, has like, it's not a smooth line. It's got little notches cut out. And that's so once you're done sewing, you don't have to go back and snip it.
Nice.
Smart.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Whenever I
Smart.
think about making a die, I was like, why would someone want to, dies can be expensive. So why would someone want to purchase this versus just doing it like a traditional way, either a rotary cutter or a pattern or whatever.
Yeah.
So there needs to be like that value to it.
Yeah.
So
I
that
can
was my
totally
value for the bow tie.
Definitely.
I can totally relate to that. So I have an Accuquilt. I gave it to Mary to borrow, and then it was the middle one, not the little one like you have,
Right.
but not the electric one. And so she traded it in and got the electric one. And we haven't played with it yet, but we have it. But one of the things that I have always struggled with is why, like, if I can cut things out quickly with a ruler and a rotary cutter, why would I go pull out the Accuquilt and the die and run the fabric through it when I could just cut it at the cutting table? But there are some things where I would want to use the Accuquilt over my rotary cutter and a ruler, and it would be things like the trucker hat pieces or the bow tie pieces, anything that's not just a square or a rectangle, like 100%, because you're going to get the same cut repetitively and it's going to be good. It's going to be a good quality cut.
That's what I'm hoping to do again with my scraps is use my Accuquilt so that way I can cut either a whole bunch of squares, and I know we said that like we can already rotary cutter cut squares and stuff like that, but if I just want to like put a whole stack of fabric on there and send it through, get a whole bunch of squares really quick out of it, or the triangles that already have the corners snipped off, so that way I can just put those, just process my scraps that way.
Yep. That's actually what Mary is doing. So the scraps that I give away, they're not always to viewers. Sometimes they are, but most of the time, Mary swoops them up and takes them because she has a vision of processing them down to scrap charm packs. And she wants to use like the 5-inch dies to make a bunch of like 40-piece 5-inch scrap squares that she could sell in a quilt shop when she retires. So yeah, like if you've got a waist-high pile of fabric to process, Accuquilt might be the way to go.
I know.
I always tell people I won't make flying geese, not with the Accuquilt.
Oh.
You use the quarter square triangle and 2 little half square triangles and you have a flying geese. There's no waste because it's already cut. So it's not like you're, doing the square and cutting off that big chunk. And I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, I use those a lot when I do, in fact, the cotton cuts. They use the Accuquilt dies whenever they're making their quilt pieces for their each month, and that is the best way to do flying geese. It's the easiest way to do flying geese. It makes it really nice.
So you guys met at, we're just going to change the topic.
Okay.
So you guys met at QuiltCon
We did.
this year. Was that your first time last year? Sorry.
We met last year.
Technically. Yeah.
Got it. But you met up again this year too in 2025. I want to know a little bit about that story from you because I know the story.
Are you gonna
Not
embarrass
to
me
put you
in
on the
front of him?
spot.
Yeah, I am.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
I think this is like I just tell the people.
Okay, fine. So we met very quickly in 2024 because Tiffany and I were running
Yep.
around QuiltCon, and I love that you make your shirts. I think that's freaking awesome. I literally have a bin full of fabric that I am wanting to turn into shirts, and so I was asking you about collars because I can't seem to get that right. It just
Challenge
doesn't-
accepted.
it
Next
just-
year, QuiltCon.
Oh my gosh, it's
Shirts every day.
so hard. So I was asking you about that, and then it was a very quick interaction. I think we took a selfie together, if I remember correctly. It was, but it was very quick. And then this year, we met up again and saw each other several times, back and forth between all the rows and quilts and booths and everything like that. And it was the last night, and you and Todd invited me over to come hang out at the Airbnb. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this really amazing, huge celebrity has invited me to come hang out with them. What?
That's
What
the
is
piece
this?
that I wanted him to say. Yes, he was fangirling
I was.
so hard. He was
I
like,
was.
Chris from Rose City Originals invited me over to hang out.
I'm not
Thanks.
that big a celebrity. Like,
In Ian's mind, you were. You were the
Okay.
biggest celebrity. He was so excited.
I was. I'm turning 20 shades of red right now. Thanks, Becca. Appreciate that.
it's
Appreciate
okay.
that.
You're still blurry. I can't see it.
Yeah, it was that was but it was a really fun, like, I found my tribe that night because I really I don't know, it was just a tribe that I didn't know that I need. I've told this story a little bit before, but it was a tribe that I didn't know I needed, but I'm so glad that I found, and I'm so excited to have this tribe of male quilters who, bounce ideas off of each other. We talk quite frequently with our group, and it's so awesome to have that tribe.
I love it.
And I think
love it.
all of us, like in the group, are kind of in the same boat. Like, we found the tribe we didn't know we needed.
Yeah,
Yep.
Because I feel the same way, and I don't know, it's great.
it
Like,
is great.
QuiltCon is a great opportunity to network and meet people that you may not have had the opportunity to meet because, I live in Portland, Oregon, and you're in DC area. I don't know exactly where you live, but
DC.
and one of the guys is in New Mexico, and we're all over the country. So without QuiltCon, like, we probably never would have met in person.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. QuiltCon is the one time a year that I am pretty sure I'm going to see Tiffany because I don't get to see her any other time unless I go to
Yeah.
Vegas for work. So same type of thing, but yeah, I love that event because it's such a big event. It has enough of a draw that people go there, and it's not an industry only event. It's
Yes.
made for the community. And so you get to interact with the community. You get to meet other quilters and hang out with them. You don't have to be an industry professional to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love it. I
Yep.
love it.
I'm so excited every year. Although I'm not sure I'm excited for Atlanta, but we'll see.
Yeah.
When is it? Atlanta is 2027?
27. Yeah.
Okay. It's so hard to keep track because, like, I say this year, I'm like thinking I don't know.
Because
Yeah,
it's
It happens
coming
in
up.
Thebruary.
Yeah. So when you say
it throws
it's
me off.
whenever I say this year, I'm always referring to the next
The
one that's
next
coming
one.
up, but it's
Right.
technically the next year, not the,
Yeah.
yeah. We know what you mean. And I'm sure everybody else out there does the same thing. So
Yep.
So, like,
really
when someone, I had to like stop and think, okay, hold on. Like, it was February. What state was I in? What's going? Yeah. Trying to remember like what the venue looked like. Like,
Yes.
like, where did I bump into you? Like, what did it look like? Because so far I've been to 3. So I've been to Atlanta and Raleigh and Phoenix, and the convention centers were all vastly different from each other.
Yes.
So
They were.
I'm trying to remember
Yes.
what the layout was and how crowded it was.
You know, interestingly enough, I can remember the interaction with you, Chris, from each one of those 3 QuiltCons. The first one, it was on the first floor of the vendor exhibit. As I walked in and went to the right, there was a booth there with sewing machines in it, and you were talking to someone else, and I just wanted to say hi. So I encountered you there. The next year No, that was Atlanta. The next year was in Raleigh, and I remember getting a selfie with you right outside the Ruby Star Society booth because I was filling out postcards. And then this year was literally right at the entrance on day one, right there.
Yep. Yep.
So that one was pretty easy to remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and several times after that, even.
Yep.
Kept
Yes.
bumping
Well,
into each other.
I mean, I was running people over with a scooter. You couldn't miss me.
Well, that's a funny thing too about QuiltCon, and Chris, I don't know if you've experienced this too. I feel like everybody at some point has, but like there were several people who went to QuiltCon, and I know they were there, but we were never in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Wait, you were there too?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "You were there? What? How did we miss each other?"
Well, it's funny because, like Chris mentioned, we kept running into him. So there are folks that you just see repetitively over and over and over, and then there's people that you just completely miss.
Yep.
It's funny. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I literally have no idea where to take this from here.
Well, I enjoy finding out about Chris's quilts and Accuquilt dyes and everything like that, but I'm interested, do you do anything besides quilting? Is there things that you do outside of quilting and just enjoy doing otherwise?
So I heard someone say this a while ago. It was probably on a TikTok because that's half my life.
Same.
It's a very ADHD thing to collect hobbies.
Uh-huh.
So I have collected many, many hobbies over the years, but I always do seem to come back to sewing. So
Okay.
my mom taught me to sew when I was probably like 8. I started by, sewing stuffed animals and things for my stuffed animals and clothes and stuff like that. 2018 is when I officially became a quilter. Like that's when I focused on quilting. But I've done toll painting and sign making and scrapbooking and card making, and I do home improvement stuff. Actually, right before this, I was replacing a light fixture because it burned out, and I wanted to make sure I had good lighting in here, and it was driving me crazy. So yeah, I do all kinds of stuff. I am currently trying to limit myself for collecting new hobbies. My husband would laugh at that because I have a shed full of powder coating supplies because I had
Oh my
the idea
gosh.
to powder coat a sewing machine, and it's still sitting out there. Yeah, so I will jump in head first, get all of the supplies and materials and whatever fun techie gadgets I need for that hobby, and then quickly lose interest in it. Except for quilting, like it's been 7 years and I'm still going strong. I think because every quilt is different, it keeps my interest. This year I seem to be really into curves.
Obviously.
So that's fun. Yeah. I might be doing a double wedding ring.
Oh, wow.
We'll see if that's one of the bins, if that's its fate to become a double wedding ring. I do think I'm going to do a flowering snowball with either the orange or the yellow. I haven't decided which. It's because to me, it kind of looks like it would be like a sunsetty, sun rays kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Very cool.
Love it. What do you sew on, Chris? What machine do you use?
So I currently have a Juki TL 2010Q. You'd probably recognize it because a lot of quilters use it. And I love it. It's a straight stitch only, but it is crazy fast, which I adore. But before that, I sewed primarily on vintage machines.
Oh,
Love
interesting.
it.
I was sewing on at the very beginning of my content creation career was a Teal Universal, like that's the brand,
Oh,
from probably like the 50s or 60s. And it is a zigzag machine. So it does straight stitch and zigzag only. But it does not handle any amount of bulk very well. And that's probably my fault because I think I messed it up.
Oh, no.
Any amount of bulk, like it goes too high and it raises the presser foot a little, which then releases the tension discs.
Yeah.
So it probably just needs some work, but it's fine. And then I was randomly at a thrift store and found a 1960s black Singer straight stitch.
Ooh.
And I love it. So I was sewing on that one before I got the Juki. I blew the motor. and replaced
Oh
the
my.
motor. Yeah. So that one I loved, except for like, because it was like the old style, like external motor with the belt.
Yeah.
And so when you would let go of the presser foot, it would still do a couple stitches as it slowed down.
Mm.
So that can make it hard for doing like some things, like when you want to be precise with where your needle ends.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was, dream shopping for what machine I wanted, I was like, I want the automatic needle up, down. So like when I stop the needles down,
Yes.
I wanted to stop instantly as soon as I let go of the presser or take off the foot pedal. So I had like a very short list of requirements. And I reached out to Sewing Parts Online because we had become mutuals on TikTok. And I was like, so I'm just, I'm looking at this and trying to decide on whatever. And that led to me being an ambassador for them.
Oh, that's
So I got
awesome.
hooked up on my Juki and my Grace Qnique long arm. Got that from them as well. And that led to an ambassadorship with the Grace Company. So I am currently an
Mhm.
ambassador for them as well. And that's actually who I was talking to when you first met me, Becca. I was
That's
talking with,
right.
the folks over at
That's
Grace. I
right.
was becoming an ambassador. I was not an ambassador yet, but we were in talks about it. So
That's right.
yeah,
It was
so that's what I
by the
currently sew
Grace.
on, and I absolutely love it. I think last week you guys were talking about machines and
Yep.
stuff, and I had this whole. If you want to go back to, I think it was in April, I have a reel that is blown up because I was talking about the quilt police and some nasty person who was mocking my machine. Anyway, where was I going with this?
I don't know, but I actually
Oh,
had the same thought too of like that quilt police moment, and I was like, "Really?
yeah,
You're going to talk about that machine? Come on now."
right. Um, but I love this machine. It's mostly mechanical. It has a little bit of computerized, only for the automatic needle down and the thread cutter.
Mhm.
Everything else is mechanical.
Right.
And I taught a class to make the trucker hat in California, and they put me on this, I think it was a Janome, like a super fancy machine, like crazy fancy. I was so intimidated by it. I did not enjoy the machine. It was a very nice machine. I just did not enjoy it. Like as soon as you like let go of the foot pedal, like it would automatically raise the presser foot. The thread cutter was kind of slow. It didn't instantly start when you hit the foot pedal. Like
Mm.
it had all these quirks that I'm sure if I had more time with it, I would get to know. But it was just for this class. It was in California, so it wasn't local to me. I wasn't bringing my own machine. And it's just, some people like the fancy machines. I like a quality mechanical machine. That's
Yep.
just
You know,
my life.
I have a Baby Lock Aria, which is computerized and does all the fancy things. Threads, like you press a button and it just and puts the
Yeah.
thread through the needle. That machine now belongs to my mother. I don't use it. I do have it here, but it's literally collecting dust. I sew primarily on a 1951 Singer 301. And I know what you're talking about with that post because Ian had shared that story with me.
Mhm.
So for those of you out there that don't know what Chris is talking about, he had a reel where he was sewing on a vintage machine and somebody in the comments basically uh essentially called chewed him out for using not a fancy machine.
It was actually the binding video for this quilt that they got all nasty with because I sewed it to the back, flipped it to the front, and then
That's
top
right.
stitched it
Yeah.
down. And they were going on and on about how there's only one way to bind a quilt and this is wrong. And I normally, like, I'll get nasty comments on my videos and whatever. I just move on. It's the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
I was in a spicy mood, so I responded back because they were just so matter of fact. This is absolutely wrong. I was like, well, no, there's many ways to bind a quilt.
Yes.
And they went off the rails so fast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
They were looking
because
for a
I told
fight.
them that they were wrong. They were calling me a creep and all kinds of other names, and then they bashed my sewing machine, and I was just like, whoa. So I ended up blocking them because they were clearly not the kind of follower I want.
Yeah.
And I was just gonna let it go, but it really got me thinking, like, I get asked all the time by people who are interested in quilting, like, what kind of sewing machine do I need?
Mhm.
Yep.
What, like, do I have to go get this fancy machine
No.
and
Yep.
whatever? And so people like that who leave these kinds of comments, some passerby reading it, I could see getting super devastated.
Yep.
Like, I can't quilt because I can't afford a $5,000
Yep.
fancy
Right.
quilting machine.
Yeah.
Like the teal machine that they were bashing on, I got for $20 off Facebook Marketplace, and I used it for 3 years. And
I love
it's
that
fine.
teal machine because of the color.
I do too.
So-
Honestly, I bought it because of the color. I didn't even think it worked when I went to pick it up. I was like, it's just really pretty, and I really want it. So we had just moved back to Oregon, like just moved back, and I had to convince my husband to drive out to Milwaukee to go pick it up out of someone's front yard. Like, it was a little sketchy. But I love it.
I love it.
And it's funny too because this person, excuse me, was going completely off the rails on things, and they were saying like you can't have award-winning quilt by. I think they were even going as far as like you can't machine bind your quilt and have award-winning quilt. And I'm sitting there like I've won 2 blue ribbons with a machine binding on my quilt. Come on now.
Yeah, they were going on about like, I mean, at one point they said like how old they were. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But they won like 98 ribbons and all this stuff. And honestly, I'm the kind of person, I will think about conversations like months and years down the road.
Yep.
Yep.
Like,
Same.
"Ooh, this would have been the perfect response."
Yes.
And I'm like, I kind of want to unblock her or them anyway, just to respond and say, I hope those ribbons keep you warm at night. Because like,
Oh
I
my.
had no intention of this quilt ever being in a show or winning
Yeah.
an award or anything. I had no intention for it, period.
Yeah.
So a machine bound where you can see the stitching, like whatever, it's probably going to get washed and thrown on someone's bed. It might
Right.
live in a
That's
closet
right.
for a little bit, or I don't know what its final fate is. I'm not going to sit here and hand stitch the binding. Like, no.
No.
I rarely hand stitch binding. I know how, but for a utilitarian everyday quilt, it's not necessary.
It's actually, I think, and this is just my preference or my thought, if you're making a quilt that is designed to be used, the binding's going to hold up better if you use a machine to
Yes.
stitch that on, right? If
Mhm.
you're making a quilt that is designed to be an art piece and hung and displayed and admired, sure, go ahead and do the hand binding to the back. I personally think when you stitch to the front and flip around to the back and hand bind, I think binding looks the best that way. But it's not the only way.
No.
It's not the only way.
Absolutely
And
not.
that was the point I was trying to make to them, is like there's
Mhm.
multiple ways to bind a quilt.
That's right.
A lot of people have commented on Facebook on that reel about like self-binding, where you just take the backing and fold
Yeah.
it over.
Yep.
Yeah.
They probably, I think I responded to someone and said they probably would have evaporated into oblivion if they knew that you were doing that. 'Cause they were so adamant about it being the one way to bind a quilt. And I was
No.
just like, okay, you need to chill.
They were having a bad day
They
and
were.
just looking for someone to fight with because something
Yeah.
didn't happen the right way.
Well,
and they probably don't even
it must
remember
have
that
been.
entire interaction.
Well, it also makes me laugh too because I've never confession time. I've never hand bound a quilt ever. It's always by machine. I've never done it by hand, and it just makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh because people and this question comes to me all the time, like, oh, Ian, like, oh, I can't enter this quilt into a show because it'll never win because I'm machine binding it, and it's like, no, like literally every ribbon I've ever won is from a quilt that has machine binding on it. So
I think
I've
that's
actually talked,
Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry,
No, go
I've
ahead,
talked
Chris.
to people who have said like, coming down and they've judged quilt shows.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes the binding will be important if the two quilts, like the final two, whatever, are like on par with each other. That might be the breaking point. Is like the
Yeah.
one was hand bound and beautiful and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
not like you can't enter it or you won't win. It's like sometimes you have to be so nitpicky to pick which one is going to win, that's what it comes
Yeah.
down to. But
yeah,
it should not be a deterrent from doing it and entering your quilt.
very true. Very, very true.
I like what you were saying, Chris, about how you don't need the super fancy machine to do all the things, right? The point isn't about the machine. If you want the machine, you have the budget for it. You've got the 5, 10, 25, what is it? $29,999 for the new Bernina.
Oh, the 23,459 million.
Freaking-
Yeah.
The price
Car
of a
payment?
car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A long arm with automation. like
With
it-
all the bells and whistles. Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
bells and whistles. That's
Yeah.
right. So if you have the money for that, and that is what's going to make you enjoy the journey, then by all means do it.
Absolutely.
But I will tell you, as somebody who spent $3,000 on a brand new baby lock with all the bells and whistles, it was a floor special. As somebody who spent that money on a baby lock, the two machines that I go to time after time after time, the Singer 301, and then when I have a lot of bulk and I need that, I'm making a bag or something, it's the Juki. 100%. Nothing, I don't touch anything else.
Yeah.
If I need a zigzag, I avoid the project.
Honestly, yeah. I have a kit for a jelly roll rug. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to make this. My Juki doesn't do a zigzag. So
Yep.
Yep.
we'll see what happens.
I thought the buttonhole maker for your Juki is pretty freaking cool, though. That's pretty cool.
It is. It was a little pricey.
Yeah.
It was either $300 or $400.
Yeah.
Have you
What?
not seen my buttonholer?
No.
It's the EB1 electric buttonholer, and it hooks onto my Juki. It fits any Juki TL machine,
Okay.
and it's like all automated. You drop the feed dogs, and it plugs into where the foot pedal goes, and you say, this is the size button. I want it to, this style buttonhole, and you hit go, and it just like it does it all, except for cutting it, but that's fine.
Yeah. It moves the fabric. It does. The needle stays in the same place, but it guides the fabric around.
Yeah. It clamps down, and then it zigzags back and forth and front to back, and yeah. I love it.
Literally.
That was honestly like my one hesitation when I bought this machine, because I was already making my shirts. I was like, how am I going to do buttonholes?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have a zigzag. It doesn't have attachments. So I patiently waited, and they came out with it, and I was like probably the first person to buy it, because the minute I heard it was out, I bought it.
I didn't realize that was a more recent addition to the Juki line.
Yeah. I think it came out 2020, maybe end of 2023.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Wow. It's real recent then.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. But like you were saying, Becca, about like expensive machines, this machine, my Juki, I think I ended up spending like $800 on.
Yep.
And I had to like sit myself down and justify to myself buying this machine. I'm so glad I did, because I love it. But prior to that, like I was buying any vintage machine I could find at a thrift shop or wherever for like $20 to $40.
Yep.
And they all work fine.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong
My
with that.
301 was $50 on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
And she gets
You can-
more time than my Juki, my baby lock. Like the only other machine that could probably compete for hours on is the long arm.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious, by the way. I'm sewing on a vintage machine, entirely mechanical. And then when it's time to finish the quilt, it's all modern robotics.
I'm very much about the edge to edge pantograph.
Mm-hmm.
Like just throw it on and let it go.
Yep.
I heard you talking last week about like doing the custom
Yeah.
quilting. I have not gotten into that yet. I only have a 16-inch throat, which means I really only have like an 11-inch quiltable area.
Yeah.
So I have not played with it too much, but I think if I get a bigger machine, I might dive a little more into that.
Yeah.
I've got a Namara, which is a 20-inch throat. So I have probably like a 15 or 16, maybe 12, depending on how much is on that back bar. I've got a bit bigger area that I can quilt in. I can usually get about a 10 or a 12-inch block fully quilted on one pass. But yeah, like if I didn't have that nice deep throat space on the frame to be able to work with, I think the custom quilting with the long arm could be a little difficult. I'm sure there would be ways around it, but the way the custom quilting works with the pro stitcher is you have to be able to look at the quilt and identify the area that you want to quilt in. And so you have to mark out that area with the software and then plop in all the elements and line them up and get them situated just where they need to be. And if that area is not all on the frame in a quiltable space, you're done. So yeah, the big throat space probably would help.
Well, Chris, it's been great having you on the podcast today. Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
I'm ready.
All right.
I hope.
Let's do this.
Hold on, Chris.
Here we go.
They're going to get spicy.
Uh-oh.
All right, here we go. Favorite fabric designer?
Duh.
Sarah Watts at the moment.
Holy cow. I was waiting for something else. Okay, fine. We'll take it. Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Do you name your sewing machines?
Yes and no. My Juki does not have a name, but my long arm is named Molly.
Nice.
Okay. Do you name the vintage ones? This is not a rapid fire question. Okay. What are their names?
The 1960s Kenmore is Kenneth. Very formal.
Hmm.
And the teal one is Bruce.
Nice.
Love it. Love it. Okay. What's your sewing superpower?
I don't know. I just do it.
Okay.
Nothing scares me.
That's your superpower, courage.
There you go.
There you
That's
go.
a good one. I like that.
There you go.
Which UFO haunts you the most?
So currently, I used to say I never had UFOs because I was very much like, I'm finishing this project. I would do one at a time. But I do have a project that is my Sound of Silence quilt that I need to finish that I actually just ran across yesterday. So
There you go.
it's
Okay.
been since 2020.
All right.
Well, I want to know a little bit more about the Sound of Silence quilt.
So I was in a group and it was kind of like a sewing bee type thing. Every month someone would give a prompt and then you would send in 2 10-inch squares to that person that matched their prompt. My prompt was the song The Sound of Silence. And I was all gung ho for it. And some of the blocks took a while to get to me. So it kind of lost interest. But I've paper pieced some lettering. So at the top, it's going to say hello darkness. And then along the bottom, it's my old friend. And then all the blocks will be in the middle. And I just need to finish it. Now that I have all the
every
blocks.
time I hear that song, Chris, have you seen the movie Trolls? Or yeah, I think it's in Trolls. The very first Trolls movie, they sing that song. And my daughter loved that movie. And so we would listen to the soundtrack in the car all the time. And the character that goes, when they're singing it, they're like, hello, darkness, my old friend. And there's a character in the background that goes, hello. And when it does that, every single time I finish the statement with, Clarice.
You would have to if that's what it sounded like.
Anyway, that's what I thought of when you did that. So
Nice.
moving on.
Nice.
Mountains or beach vacation?
Mountains.
Okay.
Nice.
I have the option for both here, so
That's true.
kind of hard.
Same. Okay.
Pre-cuts or yardage, what's your go-to?
Back quarters. So I guess pre-cuts.
I guess technically that is
Technically.
pre-cuts. Yeah. Okay. Have you ever sewn something that you immediately regretted?
No.
Nice.
I have.
I have as well. What's your favorite color combo to sew?
Green.
Right.
Apparently pink.
Apparently pink. Pink and green.
Pink. Color does not scare me, so I will throw anything with anything.
Nice.
So yeah.
It's amazing how when you step out of your comfort zone, like you said, your superpower courage, right? When you empower yourself to try something, sometimes it gets results that you never knew were possible.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay.
I will
That was
say
my profile
favorite,
statement.
my favorite single color to quilt with is Kona Pickle. And
Okay.
you can fight me on it, but it goes with everything.
That's really?
You know,
Anyways.
I think it does.
well, no. So a few years ago, I
This
was
might be
watching
pickle.
a video on YouTube with Angela Walters, and one of the questions is, "What's your go-to thread color?" And she was like, "Butter yellow." And she was like, "You would think that yellow doesn't work, but I'm telling you, it'll work in any quilt I put it with because the it's just on the yeah." So I'm gonna believe you when you say dill pickle whatever.
Kona Pickle.
Crazy.
I do have a favorite thread color as well. I don't use butter yellow like Angela Walters, but my go-to is eucalyptus green, which is like a
Yes.
minty green.
Yep.
And if I'm stumped on what color to use, that's what I use. And it goes with everything.
Mine has
It's
been
magic.
Dove Gray, apparently.
Mine too. I go to Dove Gray.
Okay, so scissors, rotary cutter, or chaos.
Rotary cutter. Well, after Accuquilt, rotary cutter.
Oh, no.
We
Fair.
should have modded that for you.
One sewing tool that you can't live without.
Accuquilter.
Yes, but also magnets.
Oh,
Wait, what?
Magnets.
What'd you say? Oh, like the
Magnets.
sew tights?
So I have sew tights on my long arm. I also have little magnets I've glued to my long arm and my regular sewing machine and my magnetic pin and magnets.
So like
I love
magnets, like
magnets.
not just the brand, just like literal
magnets.
magnets. I use
Nice.
MagSafe mounts for my phone to do my filming. I have magnetic things for my GoPros to do filming. Like magnets. I want magnets on everything.
I like
Nice.
that idea. There is something kind of cool about just walking up and being like, boom, and it's there.
Yes.
You don't have to mess with anything. You just,
Yeah.
boom, it's there.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So moving on from magnets, because I hope that's not the answer to this question. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Please don't say magnets.
It's not magnets. That's a tough one. Huh. I love like food, like different foods. Like we're always going different places and trying new ethnicities of food and whatever. I'd have to go back to Italian
Mm,
Okay.
good choice.
Lasagna.
Good choice.
specifically.
Okay.
Love it. Coffee, tea, or neither?
Coffee.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Starbucks. I know where I'm going after this.
Dutch Brothers.
Yes. Yes. Same. Same. I was so happy when we
It's
had
not
it.
I'm not going to Dutch Bros.
I'm so happy when we had it in Phoenix. I'm so happy.
So good.
It's so good.
It
Their
was
coffee's
not
just
bad.
better.
It was not bad. It was my first time. Moving on.
What did
What? Wait, what did you say?
What did you get?
What did I get?
I ordered for her.
Yes,
It was the Golden Eagle.
Oh, that's a good one.
it was delicious.
Yep.
But I might be underselling it because I don't have one here. I got to deal with Starbucks. Moving on. What song gets you dancing every time? Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Well, so it varies because TikTok is a thing. Abracadabra lately, Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
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 Good
Okay.
choice. Good choice. If you were a quilt block, which one would you be?
A star of some kind with lots of points.
He's pointy. Dream celebrity to have dinner with.
Are we doing celebrities or celebrities?
Your pick.
Oh, goodness. I would love to have dinner with Tula Pink and talk her ear off.
Mm.
Now, not in the sewing world. Spoiler alert, you had to
No.
pick one of each.
Hmm. I'm terrible with like celebrity names and knowing people's. Let's go with Jonathan Bailey. And I would just sit there and drool all night.
Yeah. Same.
I'm sorry. I have to pick my jaw up off the floor. Dancing
The
through
book
life.
scene in Wicked.
Yes.
Anyway.
Mm.
And the trailer comes out tomorrow, and he's already. Okay. Anyway,
He's so cute.
let me just
Anyway.
clean up the drool real quick. Anyways, what's your guilty pleasure TV show or movie?
Bridgerton.
We are notorious bingers.
Mm.
My go-to is American Dad. When I'm bored
Oh,
and don't want to have to pay attention,
Yeah.
it's American Dad in the background.
Okay.
I love Francine.
Okay.
She is my favorite of all time.
What's the first thing you do when you wake up?
Go to work. I literally wake up, roll out of bed, and log on. The joys
Same.
of working from home.
Yes.
I doom scroll. Go ahead, Ian.
Most used emoji.
The smiley face with the 3 hearts around it. I think it's
Mm.
supposed to be a hug. I don't know, but it's always number 1 on my frequent emojis.
Nice.
I learned a new emoji today from Gen Z.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Did you know that when you do the emoji with the nails,
Uh-huh.
it's supposed to be like, yes! I didn't know that. she just kept doing it. Like, we were in Teams and people were saying stuff, and she was using that emoji, like the painted nails. I was like, okay, I'm going to pull out the Gen X card. What the hell is that emoji? And she was like, well, it means like, yes, queen, go on. And I was like, oh, okay.
I feel it's very.
I just do this.
I feel like it's very similar to that TikTok trend for a while that was like, ding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what
Yeah.
happened to this emoji? Like, I don't know.
The hair flip.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what is the most used phrase in your daily life?
All right.
All right.
A
All
lot.
right.
I have to edit that out of my videos a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Or
That's
it'd be
actually...
every other word is all right. All right. All right. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's yours,
But
Ian?
luckily, it's usually all right, and then a brief pause, so it's easy to chop out.
Oh,
Yes.
that's good. Mine is super cool. Like, I'll be like, oh, that was super cool, or that was okay, that's really super. Like, it's, in fact, somebody commented on one of my videos and was like, can you stop saying that? I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't even know I was saying it.
It's amazing, like, when you're a content creator and you are responsible for creating and producing your own content, you have to listen to yourself. So you get really familiar with the things that you need to stop doing. I
Yes.
realized I did a lot of and so I edit those out when I'm doing it,
Yep.
but that's like my work speak coming in, because that's how you segue to let somebody know you want to talk. You're like, but yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Chris, it's been so amazing having you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Can you tell us again where everybody can find you at?
Absolutely. So I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. It is all Rose City Originals.
I love that.
Excellent.
So, wait a minute. I have one more question.
Uh-oh.
How did you come up with Rose City Originals? I think I know the answer, but
Hmm.
let's just spell it out.
So Portland, Oregon is the city of roses, and I'm a native, but I was not born in Portland. I was born in a suburb. I'm currently living in technically Portland. We are in the outskirts of Portland, but it's still technically Portland. I still get to pay Portland taxes. So,
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
and as I was like wordsmithing, brainstorming, trying to come up with like a business name, because my quilting was starting to take off. I'm like, let's, establish a brand. I wanted to use Rose City. I don't know where that came from really, but like there's a lot of businesses around that are Rose City this, Rose City that, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was down to, I think, Rose City Stitcher, Rose City Quilts, or Rose City Originals. And that's what I ended up with. My husband thought that was the best one.
Mhm.
There was one, I think Rose City Stitchers was already taken, like the Facebook was taken. Because I had this problem with the previous business. Like I went and made an Etsy and then someone went and bought the domain. And like,
Oh, man.
yeah, it turns, well, there's people who will stock like Etsy and other things for like new starts and then go and like snag the domain so that you have to buy it from them, which I did not do. I just changed the name, but whatever.
Yeah.
So before I like decided, I was like, I checked Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and I don't think I checked TikTok probably at the time I did. And then for like the domain for it and everything before I nailed it down. And if any one wasn't available, I would just go on to the next until everything was available, because I want it all to match. I have friends who it does not match across all platforms.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so hard to advertise yourself.
Very.
Like, okay, if you're on this platform, it's this. If you're on this platform, it's this. Like, yeah.
Yep. I wished I would have done that in the beginning. I'm fortunate that Instagram, TikTok, X, aka Twitter, whatever, I don't even log on there, but I have it. But all of the socials, it's So Becca. So I'm fortunate there. But on Facebook, the page, So Becca was taken. And what drives me insane is it was taken by a lady by the name of Becca, who must have been sewing back in like 2018 and hasn't done it since. And has like 300 followers. And I'm like, so it's So Becca LLC on Facebook. But yeah. I mean, I do try to be consistent with like the branding, the pictures, and the colors. So if you search for it, you can be like, oh, yep, it's that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So
on X, my name was when I had a Twitter account. I'm calling it Twitter. Dang it. When I had Twitter, I had to shorten it down because my off Kilter Crafter Ian was too long for the username, and so I had to shorten
It
it
is a
down.
mouthful.
It is quite a mouthful.
Anyway, you had to shorten it down.
I did.
So what
I
did it end up being?
It was
Off Kilter Crafter I?
No. Off Kilter Ian, I think is what it was.
Got it.
Or off Crafter. I don't
Whatever.
remember. It's closed now. I don't have it.
It's no longer active, so don't go look for him.
It is true.
Well, Chris, I had a blast chatting with you. I am
Yes, it was
super
fun.
excited to learn about all of the Accuquilt stuff that you've been doing. I think that was a neat process to hear about, like how the Accuquilt dies get designed. I heard you talk about how there's some things in the works, so people are
Yeah.
going to want to stick around and keep an eye on your socials and your website for what's coming up. Will
Yes.
we see you in Raleigh this year?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Awesome. Very cool.
I'll bring a sticker.
I'll bring two.
Yay.
Well, this wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
It was all over the place, but Chris did promise to
I
bring
warned you.
chaos. He
Yeah.
did. Yep. So anyway, it
You're not
wasn't
gonna
perfect.
defend it?
Oh, I'm sorry. But it wasn't. It's finished and chaotic. Whatever.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.